I'm looking at the X account while you were doing that, scrolling through some of the stuff, and your pin post talks about the Evergreen Cycle. This looks like it's pretty important phraseology. What is an Evergreen Cycle for you guys?
It's a fancy term, but really what it is, it's the purpose of something like the Evergreen Cycle is to transcend the boom and bust nature of cryptocurrencies. We talked about this earlier when the other guys were on, that everything's really correlated to Bitcoin. Number goes up, and then there's a blow off. People retreat into a safe haven asset, right? Nothing goes up as a result of that, and we get these kind of long dislocations, these deep winters. It's like a malinvestment cycle. The Evergreen Cycle is a set of simple game theoretic rules that fosters growth while allowing people to kind of buy and sell as they please. And it's really simple. It's just kind of you buy spot or you buy ample when you feel kind of bullish, and you sell that into spot when you feel kind of bearish. And what's really special about it is because spot is collateralized by senior ample tranches, even though spot is heavily insulated from ample's volatility. This maneuver of selling ample and buying spot allows users to go from a risk on position to a risk off position without putting significant downward pressure on ample. And so if people were to simply follow this rule of like selling ample when they're fearful and buying spot, and then buying ample when they're bullish and selling spot, you could actually decouple from the boom and bust nature of this kind of asset class. And so we call that the Evergreen Cycle or boom boom. So if enough people just agree that like, okay, I don't always sell ample, but when I do, I sell into spot, we'd see an asset that puts up really fast floors, which positions it to quickly attract the next kind of leg up in demand. It's not like a perpetual motion machine. It doesn't mean everything's always up, but it means things can go up. People can take risk off without the asset dumping, and a new leaving opportunity for a new kind of wave of demand to take place, and things can go up again. And then, again, people could take risk off without an asset dumping. And so, in my opinion, this concept of countercyclical demand is one of two problems that are really important in the space that nobody really has been thinking about. But it's what we've been thinking about, and that's what the Evergreen Cycle is, just a set of game theoretic rules. As far as I can tell, it's this first set of game theoretic rules, because we've seen these 3-3 goods and things like that actually says it's okay to sell. The rest of them all seem to conclude that if nobody sells, everybody wins, which is really impractical. This one is like, yeah, you sell and you buy whenever you feel like it. But if you do it in this way, everybody wins.
That's definitely interesting game theory. I want to pivot a little bit to the bootstrap campaign. What are your goals with that?
Yeah, bootstrap. So I mean, again, Spot has been around for almost 2 years now. So we've been just kind of battle testing it. It's gone live. It's functioned exactly as designed. And now we really think that the market conditions are right to significantly grow Spot's liquidity, and we're calling that program Bootstrap. But really what it is we're offering 10 million in incentives here to create $50 million worth of Spot liquidity. And virtual bacon. Yeah, I see him kind of raising a little bit of a virtual hand. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to jump in here from kind of an outside perspective and just comment on why I've been following Ample and really like their work. So I really got deep on DeFi since around DeFi summer, right? And even though we talk so much about flat coin and anti-inflation and stable yield today, like Ample was one of the most explosive coins in DeFi summer. I'm not sure if this is completely accurate, but they were the first rebase coin that I've seen that actually took off. And this was a whole craze in 2020. And it really seemed like back then, these kind of ideas were very novel, but none of them were taking it very responsibly. As we have all seen, we have this like kind of underlying fear of yield today. But Ample so far is the only rebase coin that's still around for 5 years now. And the only yield engine that has worked properly by allowing for price to fluctuate, but not having a hard peg. And this has sustained itself. The only algorithmic coin that has sustained itself over the past 4 years, where supply expands, contracts, and ultimately leads us to today, which gives me the confidence that this is a model that sustains in a bull and a bear and can offer yield in both conditions. And now they can extrapolate on top of that a more stable version that you can look for stable yield. So like this kind of stuff has never worked in a boom and bust cycle before that I have seen. Even going as far back as like basis cash, like you can go as far back as you want. So I think obviously this upcoming liquidity campaign, I'll let you guys explain it a bit further, but if you've been in DeFi long enough, I think this is something you can like truly appreciate. Like obviously we see a lot of institutional stuff today with RWA, with stuff like Ethena, Ondo. Basically there's an arbitrage there of more delta neutral yield demand coming from TradFi. They want to look for 10% plus yield by going into crypto, but none of these RWA platforms have survived the bear before. They have only launched in the bear, and they work well in a bull, but we are yet to see how much those hard pegs and those supply expansions will not lead to excessive like contractions in the bear. And this is what really what sets Ample apart, in my opinion. Like they're very resilient, and with 4 years of history. So there's obviously a lot to dig in here, but this coming from kind of outside, how I feel about the project.